In a post-apocalyptic world, a girl named Gina witnesses how her mother is dragged into the abyss by dark hands. But first let's remember something, and that is that her mother gives her a crystal orb with the inscription 10,000 inside and tells her that find the legendary with the Chinese white star, search for that person for 5 years until one day he meets Light, a perverted guy in a mask, and his boss Nana, who ends up getting rid of the heavy milk and explains to the girl a little about how are the rules in that world. Every person in this world has a number engraved somewhere on their body that represents a random personality aspect. Nana, for example, has a number on their chest that represents every time someone praises their food, and goes down whenever someone does not enjoy it beyond the adornment. The number also has another function, since if the number, for some reason or another, descended and reached 0, the person would not only die but would be dragged into the abyss, which is a fate worse than death. Nana realizes that she has spoken too much, remembering that Gina's mother suffered that horrible end. The innkeeper explains that all people are obliged to obey the orders of anyone who has a higher number. Meanwhile, on the other hand, Lich is obsessed with the Gina's number hidden in her legs and has to be constantly controlled by Nana so as not to get lost. Gina, on the other hand, explains that her number is 441 and it comes from having walked 44,100 kilometers, to which Nana is impressed as it is too far a distance, and when he asks what the reason for such a trip is, Gina replies that he is from a legendary warrior known as Ash. While they continue talking, a group of soldiers approaches the two women and Gina meets a sergeant major with a star on his face who says to be the ace, as the legend says that a white star possesses them. Gina trusts the soldier and retires with him to talk, while Nana and the Lich later observe. The Lich talks with Nana and tells her about the rumors that soldier is famous of taking young girls to abuse them, and Nana replies that if she knows that, it's kind of weird. And already at the military base, the guy tries to bother Gina until he shows the orb of 10,000 that he identifies as a pallet and tries to take it away, but like Gina, he has a higher number. He orders her to stop, so he tricks her into making a bet on stars, a duel in which their numbers are bet, and after severely mocking, he takes away 440 points, leaving her with only 1. He reveals that it is not the one, as since the legend of the is 300 years old, which means that the is already dead a long time. For that, out of nowhere, Lich arrives already wearing his own negative number 999. While they duel, the sergeant fights Lychee and attacks him in a ruthless way, but the other soldiers realize that such a number is impossible, since when one reaches 0 he is taken to the abyss. So a negative number is something never seen unless Lich is a carrier of a ballot with a score high enough to artificially raise their number above 0 and offset the negative value. Well, this is all effective leads is revealed to be the true legendary Ace Lich, with a white star and 5,700 imprinted on his sword, the number of enemies defeated this way. Choose. He swears he will force the sergeant to repay Gina's 440 points. Before we go back to our heroes, let's take a little story choice. Centuries ago, a great war known as the Waste War to only the planet, and a group of warriors known as Aces distinguished themselves with feats of strength only to disappear once the war ended. And well, back to the present, Lich easily defeats the soldiers with super speed, proving that his footsteps contain enough power to shatter the ground, launching the soldiers with just the expansive force of his footsteps. In his bar, Nana notices how the explosions begin to appear and is proud of Lich. Well, here Nana explains that Lychee's speed has earned him the name of Ace of Lightning Strikes, and that while his 5,700 is the number of his enemies defeated, her negative 999 is the number of women who have rejected her. Lich easily defeats the sergeant, reducing his number to 1 and giving Gina not only her 440 stolen points but also the rest of their numbers, bringing Gina's number to 760. By that time, nothing. Lich steals someone else's ticket of 10,000, leaving her a stuffed doll. In exchange, Gina feels devastated to lose the memory of her mother, and crying she returns to the town where Nanny's receives it. And well, while they talk, Gina wonders what motivates them to steal them or orb, but Nano closely observes the stuffed animal and they smile, because here Nana gives the stuffed animal to Gina and tells her that she examines it well, and that's when the doll is there in a cloud of flowers, revealing that inside the doll is hidden his mother's orb. And later Nana reveals that the Lich hid the ballot in his wrist and that he only pretended to steal it in front of witnesses, since the ballots are illegal, so the soldiers, one or the other, will only look for him and leave him in. Passenger with milk gets on a road and leaves town to start a new life, after having compromised his anonymity, who tearfully tries without asking the Lich to leave, but when he ignores her pleas he yells at him that they hate him, changing her negative 999 to negative 1,000 as she walks away, and the young woman is left crying. On the way, one of the soldiers confronts Gina and reveals that he is actually a spy. When Gina tries to hide her sphere, the soldier coldly reassures her that he is not. She is interested in her trinket. since I have found something much more valuable, and she thanks him for helping her and informs her true masters that the lich has finally been located because the spy does not report. Gina does not denounce her for having the ballot, so the army ignores the young woman and begins to look for the lich, believing that she has the object. And already in a remote village, Sergeant Mayor Lin and his subordinates, Sergeant Pella copyright P. Poro, are assigned to a peaceful town where Link spends her time as a volunteer since her account increases depending on the number of desperate people that Link helps. She spends her days doing community tasks, helping children and the elderly, and being very loved by the community, but the young woman expects more from life. Based on a description of Lychee, Lind has a nearby masked man who coincidentally turns out to be Milk, but he clings to his mask, revealing his 1,000 negatives and crying for the women who rejected him by following Pele's terrible advice. Link tries to help Lychee feel better with a quote from Pity, only for Lychee's typical probing behavior to actually cause the Link count to increase as probing helps the desperate feel better. Pele can't take it anymore and trust that he was having fun at the Link's expense, since it's obvious that a man with a percentage of less than 1,000 should be dead. So he has deduced that the mysterious masked man has a ballot that compensates for his negative points, and then furious Link removes his mask, revealing his identity. And then Lich steals his sword alone to realize that Lin is also a martial artist. However, Lin's techniques specialize in the use of kicks, which is not very practical considering that her military uniform consists of a military miniskirt that rises whenever her techniques are used. They make Milk brighten the day during their brief fight. She is so disturbed by the flirtatious Lich that he manages to escape when she closes her eyes expecting a kiss, which greatly irritates the girl. And back to town, Gina asks Nana when they will go to look for Lychee, and the woman replies that not yet, since they must first collect the money for such a trip. However, a fearsome named Hale Murdoch interrogates Nana using her metallic powers to find out the whereabouts of Lich Nanamiente about the path that Milk took, but the soldier immediately reads the lie and heads in the opposite direction, but not before destroying his food truck for lying, and then he prepares to give home Leech, accompanied by his men, and well after the destruction of his food truck, Nana explains Agina that these are the consequences of having a smuggled ballot due to the great power that they contain. Danger to others. Meanwhile, Murdoch and his men go to meet our hero, and well, translucent with Lychee Link. He continues with his voluntary work handing out flyers, but he is beaten for having lost a possible promotion, and he explains to that the main reason why he wants a promotion is to get a better military uniform, since the one he has is uncomfortable when working, and always causes others to sew it. However, Lich reappears in front of her, so the military woman chases him around the town, where several misunderstandings led the villagers to think that she and Lich have a lover's fight, and Lich escapes again when he complains that his uniform always reveals his underwear. On the other hand, China decides that she should warn Lich about Lieutenant Murdoch, but they can't do it because first they have to rebuild Nana's wagon. This way, Nana hires Gina as her helper, and together they set out to fix the wagon and leave immediately. On the other hand, the Lich wonders about the villagers, who seem more interested in living in peace than in helping to catch the criminals, to which the protagonist deduces that this is due to the presence of Link. The woman goes out of her way to help each and every one of them, of the villagers, improving their life significantly to the point that no one tries too hard. If the good Dylan always comes to the rescue, for Stolen is distracted from chasing him by the problems of the villagers, and Lich come to admire her revealing herself again, so that neither can enjoy continue chasing him. For this one, in another place, Nani Gina have already started to move and install the mobile bar in a forest that is soon full of customers, and Gina becomes nostalgic, remembering the quiet moments that she had in her town when she was a child with her mother. And back in the town of Lin, the military chases a funny leech, but suddenly the game ends. Illich saves Link from a wound when Murdoch and his soldiers attack. For this, it is revealed that the number of Murdos is 900, together with his ballot that allows him to create weapons from, hence his nickname of Iron Prison. The men of Murdo attack Lychee without caring about the presence of Link, to the point of putting her in danger, our hero having to save her from his own comrades when Lich tries to fleeing to avoid loss of life. As innocent Murdoch uses his powers to manipulate metal and traps him in a prison of metal bars, isolating the two warriors from the rest of the town and the Lich soldiers. He is surprisingly overwhelmed and tells Murdos to stay, realizing that the number shown on his hand is not his real number. That's when Murdoch reveals that he's keeping his real number hidden from his superiors to avoid a promotion that would put him behind a desk in an office instead of hunting down criminals. True number is revealed as 12,500 points, more than double that of the Lich inside the cell created by Mirage. The military and Lich talk, and then start to fight seriously, their speed at double what he was using, but Mordor anticipates his movements using his metal rods as the ability of this one, who is even able to take away his sword, but returns it to him since to continue fighting to see what his opponent has more to offer. Mordos, who likes to talk, reveals that his number represents his convictions and that his iron weapons are strengthened by his convictions and have never been cut, and he rises into the air for a bit. He doesn't know if he's flying, no, but then he realizes that it's really just a sauce. I say a jump one waits with one of his metal bars, defeating our planet in this way. Biter traps Alec in a metal structure in front of all the people of the town board, removes the cage and proceeds to interrogate Lich, accusing him of having once been a soldier based on his style of he fights, and asks him what all this business about the beams is coming from, since if he were a real ace he should have been dead for more than 300 years. When he decides to torture him with a whip, but when he throws the whip Link, the result is injured by his superior. He asks the Link, why did he get in the way? I replied that apart from making a harassing nuisance, Licht hasn't hurt anyone since he arrived in town, and moreover, he even helped him distribute flyers for his charity work. Mordos was disgusted by the fact that the Link, she does not punish criminals in favor of her work of charity. She reprimands her despite the fact that the people are against the happiness of Mordor and wants to defend someone. The soldiers understand her place and almost apologize until the Lynch stops her. Our hero, he is the leader of his bonds, revealing that he was always able to break his iron as he and Murder unleash their true powers. Demands that he apologize for assuming that Link is lazy when he constantly overworks everyone. Their fight collapses a cliff, making that Link falls, and a repentant dead man tries to catch her, but Lich catches her first. While they are falling, Lich manages to insult her, which causes her account to decrease to -1101. Then he goes to bits to let him go when he realizes that the fact he was right, Mordos created a playground for the children of the village using his powers, deciding to give the Leech a 3-day head start from giving his quest, with Link joining him while the children play biting. Realizes when it was time to rescue someone. Lich moved so fast that not even he could see it, and he used that throughout their fight. The delinquent was controlling himself and wonders if the warrior used his same ruse to hide his true numbers while grudgingly fixing the broken wrist of a child. His 12,500 decreases to 12,499 for giving up his Rannoch trapping conviction as he continues his riches journey, found by Gina and Nana, and learns that after fighting many iron jail all roads have been blocked. He is hungry, but nothing reminds him that it is no longer part of the establishment since he fled after a matter of Gina. So if you want to fill up to see Lechagina work, look for the child in the forest, without forcing said to fulfill his promise to eat with her. So the two through an impromptu picnic in the field that does not appear jealous that Lychis was fighting for another woman. They scold her for leaving him behind. While they talk to our beings, they notice the presence of a strange object flying in the air. Lich is forced to save a girl named Belmo from falling into a vacuum in an experimental plane. Parolmo asks Lychee and Hina to help him make his dream of flying come true. Even if they investigate the flight as a crime punishable by death, Licht modifies his latest design but is worried that he has only endangered her, despite which Jinal praises. Gina asks him what the dream is, for which he refuses to reveal it, stating instead that it is to see her Felmo underwear. He interrupts a super awkward moment between the two with good news, since thanks to Lychee designs he has been able to modifying his new plane, and this time sure that it would work. However, before he had a chance to test it, reaching the soldiers alerted by Belmo's experiments that sooner or later were going to get his attention. To save his new friend, Alice is forced to destroy the plane. The soldiers leave after convincing themselves that the wings were windmill sails. This seems to have returned to normal, and Lychee tells the young woman to wait until the waters calm down to experiment again, but she tells her that it will no longer be necessary. A chasm suddenly opens up, but he doesn't reveal that his account it was based on his dreams coming true. Zero pressure from what I see, but it went down every time his planes were not flying, and now it has reached zero. And no, he tries to save her, but the abyss defends itself. Done. He tries to save Gina, but when the abyss hits his sword he suffers a violent flashback. Elmo, however, does not seem to be scared and happily enters the abyss, convinced that it is not death but the door to another world, and he promises to see them again one day, saying he almost faints and turns around, watching terrified as the numbers flash in his left eye, revealing the number 001. The other day, Luis considers leaving but decides to stay after China speaks in his sleep, asking him to stay when the stranger wakes up and is scared that she will not find a fighter, but her fears are calmed when the young man is outside the store washing his face and ready to continue the Lich journey. Nana and Gina arrive at a town that is preparing a big celebration and decide to stay in their mobile cafe to have a little money and rest too. However, the peace does not last long since while they walk through the city Lena catches up with the lychee, and thanks the old man for having saved her but then tries to subtract it as Lenny Gina they do not know each other. They exchange stories about how they meet Lich and are fandak with him. Nana search for a way to stretch the feeling, organize an interline cooking battle to attract customers with leads as a prize. The Link buys vegetables while Gina catches wild beasts, proving that she is immediately adept at killing dangerous animals. All due to years traveling the world alone, which allowed her to hone her skills as a huntress, catching I am not a boar without the least effort. When Nana offers meat to the Johns, she grabs her trusty knife, and in 2 seconds prepares the bear with a skill that terrifies the viewers. The Link creates a vegetable stew while Gina creates a meat stew with a deadly aura. However, when he approves Gina's stew, Lich finds it delicious despite its appearance. Enjoy both, but although Gina's is clearly superior, and he finds himself in the trouble of having to choose a winner. However, the Reprises are saved from having to disappoint one of them when he arrives at Mordo's and reprimands the Link for having been distracted again. Licha threatens to flee, blaming the boards instead. From Apple Poporo, and also Alien easily frees himself from his restraints, revealing again that he was just a while ago and had a little fun. But Amardok, who does not have much sense of humor, challenges him again to fight. After a brief fight, Dwarf intervenes, and suddenly to always act like children and damage the town square with her powers. Surprisingly, even Morton is overwhelmed by her blunt personality and do as she says, even joining the festivities that night. Townspeople, friend and foe, strike a truce and celebrate the next morning. Levels wake up with a hangover, and Nana Lich Aginas have gone berserk during the night. While they are being chased, they come across a wounded soldier from another town that has been completely destroyed by an unknown force. While they are exploring the Mordiculan town, and not only find no survivors, but they discover how the lake next to the town they have disappeared under a huge hole full of clouds. They read he asks Mordor if that hole is the true abyss, the place where those with their counters at 0 go. But before the man can answer him, a wounded soldier appears and states that a icy fire-breathing demon flew out of the abyss. Ordochin insists it must be a ballot user with fire abilities who never knew anything that had the ability to fly, and Levels lead the soldier to have been dealt with in the next town, where they find the Lich. Gina and Nana Mordor confront that although he is sure that our hero is not guilty of attacking the town since he does not fly but simply jumps, the soldier is convinced that something is known. Just when they are about to start the fight channels, he furiously anticipates that they make another scandal like the one the day before, so instead he invites them to a drinking contest. Mordos accuses a drunken Licht of hiding his true power and making them legendary. He also demands to know why the army is looking for him, this for him to drink even more, and Nothing decides to join in too and gets drunk after just one drink and asks him agenda what is his relationship with Snow. They end up having a drunken fight and end up passing out at the same time. They try to get the fact to use their laps as a pillow. Anna awakens Mordos, and Pele suddenly appears with alarming news: the abyss of water suddenly destroying part of the city, and a strange noise begins to emanate. The surviving soldier recognizes the sound as the same sound coming from the demon phases and shouts, saying that they are all doomed for the education of the civilians. While Luis recognizes the sound and insists that Murdos and his men flee while they state that the sound is impossible since all demons of that type were defeated during the scrap war. Eli Murdog. They observe how the abyss opens and the demon is revealed as a modern helicopter armed with difficult machine guns but surprise attacks Mudots that at the last moment manages to create a shield that protects people from machine gun fire. However, the soldier does not know the technology at all. Dignified Point understands the concept of bullets and does not know what that is that comes out of the demon's mouth. And if you do not know what bullets are, I expect a surprise because the helicopter has just launched a missile at them. Apparently it is crap because no one gets hurt with explode, so Lich tells everyone to take cover, but Mur insists Leeds take command. Lich reveals he has a military rank of colonel and draws the attention of the choppers. While many are confused as a criminal may be colonel, everyone starts cheering as Set attacks the helicopter but is stopped by the abyss when the arms that are taking people attack him. As the helicopter approaches, each time they touch it activate a buried memories, and reveals that the military calls to the arms of the abyss rise up and that they are sacred, since they are the force that decides the destiny of the people. At last he tries to grab the helicopter while he attacks Alzheimer's but is surprised by it repeatedly, since apparently although the two have the same often objective, does not want to fight the helicopter with our hero. I say share not to ask Murdos to help him, but he refuses since attacking open is punishable by execution, and he will not let anyone print the law. Leech continues to want to face the helicopter, but the tech is not allowed. The Link begs Murdoch to help him to save him and the people of the city. Mordos tells him that under no circumstances would he allow one of the hands to attack, but unfortunately he accidentally loses his glasses, unable to see how the law is broken. Burgers attacked, and the soldiers coincidentally also go blind and attack together with their leader. In this way the soldiers throw objects that the hands catch, and in this way they wanted a ladder, so that the fact can reach the helicopter. They do not stay in shockers. After seeing the interior of the cabin, Captero is knocked down repeatedly by the ace of persuasion. Will ring Mizuka, who owns the number 32,000. If these people did not know what firearms or something more traumatic awaits them, express their honor armed with different weapons of fire. These shoot at Burgundy and begin to kill everyone, revealing that they are obsessed with getting the last order that gave him milk during the War of the Summaries. Kill everyone. Norauso's ability that allows him to manipulate the bullets they shoot by moving them brutally, and in this way never missing a shot. Suddenly our heroes are noised by the sonar. Soldiers armed with 9mm pistols are revealed that the Lish's real name is Digit, and he wants him to return to his blood pressure, and the mate was murdered. A nearby boy, Richard, carves and kills his men so fast their bodies just disappear, and he finally answers the questions of Henna and who he is about. Is the blonde-ear looter my dreams of claiming for so everything in the country? Milk opposes a new mask and gears up Holler Richards in a star stake, with Sonora staking all her stars, and Richard is shot several times in the bare red power surges, delight increasing his sword count to 57,000 and starts moving so fast Sonora can't see it. Nana reveals that fight has been taken over by an evil alternative personality called, or something similar to that. It was not in a ruthless way, to the point that the young woman realizes the danger she is in and is scared. This defeats Sonora and her account drops 16,000, which it makes Nana suspect that it will sound she has also been influenced by an evil personality. I don't know her past knowledge. Hope that you would emerge. Melman Ring does not desperately hug him, and Sek Melman almost kills her, but that was not saved her at the last moment, drawing the murderer's attention to her. When he is about to kill Sonora, not even a flashback was modern Japan when she the Lychee they were together. In high school he is stopped by Murtaj, who challenges him despite the bullet in his chest, while he is going to have a duel. Selchman, who starts crying and says he kills his enemies so his friends don't have to, and that his objectives kill everyone, and in this way no one will be guilty of killing anyone. Only he decided to honor this. He fights with all his power and creates an iron warrior that knocks him unconscious, before fainting from his wound elsewhere. A general counts several children, a darker alternate version of the tortoise, and the hare, the sinister man's version. The tortoise, unable to catch up with the hare, makes a deal with a wizard who gives the power to make the world's fastest creature, which allowed the tortoise to reach the hare and kill it. Suddenly a soldier informs the man that Sonora has been defeated. The man does not seem to care about the loss of the soldier. He also reveals that the soldier is called General Searchman Batch. While the Lich recovers his stake, star with Sonora has been concluded since the two fighters survived. That is why Altic cannot leave. He begins to harass the girls, except Gina asks what happened to Burton. The welder replies that this lieutenant was summoned to meet with Superiority. Burgers is summoned by Supreme Commander Alex Grovich or something. His childish but doting foster father Goodnight demands to know about honor soldiers I wear in black uniforms and have such strange weapons. Despite himself, Gregovich reveals they are the Osu Special Services Unit, serving the royal family as spies, kidnappers and assassins. Gregovich asks his son to leave them alone as they are too powerful for them to take on both. In terms of raw power and political power regarding a Lich, Gregovich reveals that the beams will be surgically altered human weapons for the scrap wars, and the Lich was the strongest member of the strongest squad. A side effect of the surgery caused the beams to stop aging, which explains why Lychee Sonora are still alive. Gregovich reveals that he suddenly knows that the number of Murdos has dropped to 12,499, which he demands to know if he knows the location of Lychee. Murdoch lies and drops his points to 12,498, for which Gregovich reveals that he also knows that he attacked Alding. Murdoch returns to finally stop Alding. Leech, who decides to surrender, and the rest of the group tries to defend his friend, but Murdoch easily defeats them by trapping the group with his metal shackles. And outside the cabin, a nearby spy uses technology to change faces, revealing that he is the spy who we met in the first chapter that represents a group that wants Leech to continue looting and returning with the latter. Well, he asks Murdoch several questions to determine if he is being blackmailed, and he suddenly lies, leaving his number at 12,496 before trying to arrest Leech. And already after Murdoch defeats everyone, Nana interferes, and slaps him, making him see reason to what Nana promises Murdoch, that he will have answers, and suddenly it starts, and a star appears on his face in this way. Nana reveals that she herself is a gas with an inexplicable power, and then sends Murdoch henna and Link to modern Japan, begging them to change the past where she failed. In Japan, come to Sonora and Lich, then known as Riguito, as teenagers in a high school. The two students observe strangers, and even though they are late for school, Riguito can't take his eyes off Gina. Our heroes accept the fact that the technology in the world they are now in is more advanced than theirs. They are still 300 years in the past, so Mordos wonders what could have happened, or gets mad at Nana for entrusting them with that insignificant mission to save the world from who knows what. After following Riguito inside the school, they face a delinquent who pushes Link to what Murdoch wants to defend her. He realizes that his ballot has disappeared and he can no longer control the iron. The delinquent takes advantage of this and hits Murdoch, who gets up for a second round when a student using a wooden sword joins the fight to defend him, which offends to Murdoch, and now he gets angry with the swordsman. Also, the fight is suspended until further notice, because suddenly the school directors make an appearance for this Captain Island, and Lieutenant Ferenda explained to them that Japan is the only country left behind a world war, and that the school is actually a military academy. The major principal as Lesman begins to read his version of the tortoise and the hare, and then makes Alan shoot 3 recruits who have laughed. Alan points at Gina, which makes her Murdos interposes the student of La Espada. The fight is also integrated, but Alan recovers his gun and threatens them again without anyone noticing. Richido takes as Ren Ashleyman so that he can teach them how to break his neck, but Richido's refuses and offers to die in Gina's place, ignoring the now intense Sledman assassin. Ferenda diffuses the situation by revealing that the recruits are alive, as Alan had used paintballs to make a point about obeying orders. X-Men takes an interest in the potential of Riguito, since, while everyone was fighting with Alan, the young man quietly approached the boss. What in a real battle would have been a decisive blow. However, he is still not convinced by the young man's ideals regarding not killing. Meanwhile, dead, he is confused why Riguito, it's clearly young leads, but it doesn't look like his future. Me et al. Pele tried to research alting on a computer, but it crashes. Instead, Alan explains that alting was super advanced technology of unknown origin that fell to Earth in the middle of the war, and since it had the power to force all humans to obey its will after a vote by which humanity voted to destroy nuclear weapons and prohibit all wars. However, this had unforeseen consequences that Alan refuses to. Speaking, Murtosh begins to suspect that Nana not only wants them to help the Lich, but they want them to discover the true origin of alting, and that he saves in his future society.